Very disturbing visuals that you see coming out from Yemen day in and day out. And they place the number, conservatively at 85,000 of those children who have died. Can we rely on that number? Because I'm sure it's difficult to tally.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for having me today with you and giving me this opportunity to explain to all South African how is the situation in Yemen.
Yeah.
Actually, this numbers is estimated numbers because humanitarian access is complicated in so many areas in Yemen. So they're just estimating the number, but I can say the real numbers are more than what is already announced, like 85,000, but actually on the ground around Yemen, it's double.
And I mean, you look at the fact that it's a lot of children and they continue to die from starvation. What is needed? What should be done from, what you've seen on the ground? What should be done in order to keep the children safe from dying, especially when it comes to issues around starvation?
Actually, according to the international statistics, Yemen classified as the worst place on the earth for the kids. Now we have trouble to reach to this to so many children, and they're suffering not only from malnutrition. Actually, they're suffering from they can't reach to clean water. They can't even from the war because of the civilian war. Some of the fighting parties they're using children in fighting, which is a crime actually. So they're suffering from everywhere. Malnutrition is one reason from so many reasons, killing thousands of thousands around Yemen every year. We can say about every 10 minutes we're losing one child that's dying in Yemen because of malnutrition and other reasons.
And some reports have called, this famine in Yemen a war crime. Do you agree with that?
Actually, we stand here on the worst humanitarian crisis by man-made, actually, in the modern history, which is in Yemen at the moment. Now, we can't reach in so many areas. According our team, as Gift of the Givers team, they reach in some areas. We have our goods, but we can't reach with our goods because of fight areas. Also, we can't take these people to the safe place to secure them. It's a very complicated situation on the ground, and we have in Yemen so many areas. It's not only fighting in one area. In Yemen, we have 22 provinces around Yemen. The fighting now is over 14 provinces around Yemen, which is most of Yemen population, they live in these areas.
And are there other, areas affected?
It's uncivilian area, and some of it is desert area, so there's no civil life there.
And as Gift of the Givers, when you go on the ground, of course, the fighting stops you. You can't be able to reach there. What can you do?
We're trying to talk to all the parties to provide us with a secure road to deliver our items. Actually, Gift of the Givers, we started in Yemen from 2012 in Yemen. Since then, we delivered more than 1,000 ton of different items. And now we are arranging for a big campaign. By the end of December, we hope to send from South Africa 500 tons of medical aid and goods and food parcels, all the goods, and we send it to Yemen.
And will you be having volunteers with you?
We are registered in Yemen. We have a relationship with the legitimate government. Also, we need to work in with all the parties to secure our humanitarian access in so many areas. And we have 3 offices in Yemen. We have an office in Sana'a, which is the capital, and we have office in Aden, in addition of our office in Taiz. So we have a daily work in Yemen. Gift of the Givers, we're doing daily water distribution. We providing medical aid to some malnutrition centers. So we can say as South Africa, we are doing so many things for a country like Yemen.
And, I mean, there's been calls for a ceasefire, at some point. Do you think that a political solution is needed to resolve this crisis?
For now, it's about 4 years. Because of the international players, the Yemeni failed to reach to a political ground or political deal to stop the war. All the players, they want to fight each other in Yemen. Yemen became like a big stadium for all the players to fight. They are smart enough to avoid this war, and they make it in somewhere like Yemen. So, which is the same thing which is happening in Syria at the moment. So I hope the war stop on the good ground, on the good political ground, to be a long-term peace. We're not, because we're suffering for years from war and stop and again. Now it's about 8 wars in Yemen from 2006 until now. So people, they keep suffering.
And as somebody who was on the ground, what is government doing or authorities doing to address this issue of children that are also being used as soldiers?
Actually, they're accusing each other. They said, the legitimate government, they made an announcement against the militia al-Houthi who they are doing, using the children on their war. And it's the opposite from the Houthi side. They say the legitimate government they're using, which is not correct. But actually, at the moment, the innocent people, they don't care about how is the political situation on the ground. They only care about how they can survive with their children to reach to a secure area. They can get basic medical care. So that's what they really concern about, the families, the ordinary people in Yemen.
And apart from the gift of the givers, are there any other aid organizations that are trying to get food into Yemen? And if not, how then are the people on the ground and the children and the women, how are they then getting something to eat?
Actually, we are gift of the givers. We working and we suffering actually from the humanitarian access in Yemen. Some other international NGOs, they closed down their offices in Yemen because after some of their volunteers or their workers being kidnapped or killed. But we keep using the local people as gift of the givers in Yemen, and from 2012 until now, we're delivering our aid to so many areas around Yemen without any problem. We hope, we pray that for the safety of our team in Yemen. Now we have about 12 people there working with gift of the givers full time in Yemen to get the goods from the port of Aden, and then deliver it to all over Yemen.
And do you get a sense that it might be too late for the millions of children that have been estimated at like 5 million who are at risk of starvation?
Actually, we can't say it's too late. Every 10 minutes in Yemen, we lose a child. We can't save one life. It's different. That's the problem. Now we reach to the disaster. Before that, we as gift of the givers, we made so many announcements about Yemen. Please, we have to save more lives. But the politicians, they are away from all these things. Now we become to the result. Now it is a disaster at the moment, the worst disaster in the modern history. Every 10 minutes we lost one child. We can save so many lives, but we just need all to cooperate, and we know the real responsibility for us against this disaster.
And are you, as gift of the givers, asking for help from South Africans, and how can they get involved?
As gift of the givers, now we are making a big campaign. We are planning to collect 500 tons of goods and send it to Yemen, beside of our daily water distribution. Every day now we're distributing about 24,000 liters of water, in addition of our sponsorship for the medical center for treating kids with malnutrition in Hajjah, in Taiz, in Sana'a. So that's why we urge South African to help Yemen in this crisis. When we save one life, it's really different.
Thank you so much for putting us in the picture there. That was Anas Al-Hamati, who is with Gift of the Givers, telling us about what exactly is going on in Yemen, where there are worrying developments. Between 2015 and now, an estimated number of 85,000 children have reportedly died from starvation.